My baby was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 2, and I'm about to tell y'all the story on how it all unfolded. Let's go, boo. What is up, my good people? Now 12:38, and I have to take care of something dealing with my daughter's social security check. So those of you who don't know, my daughter is on SSI. So I want to do something different with this video that I am going to be putting out. On all of my videos so far, they've been more so I introduced myself, really, who is Jasmine. So that was the last video I uploaded. I do have some vlogs that I recorded in between this video right here and my last video, but I'm going to hold off on those simply because I am in the process of growing my channel. And if you just so happen to land on this channel and you're watching this right now, I really appreciate you being here, and it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to my channel, see every time I drop a video, because your girl is actively growing her YouTube, meaning I want you guys to make sure that your notification bells are on, because I will be dropping a video at least twice a week. So starting out, I am going to be dropping a video twice a week just to build up my momentum, get me in the groove of, recording and getting those videos out instead of sitting on them. I have so many vlogs that I have been sitting on, and while I'm in the beginning phase, I don't have my community yet. I really, really, really hope and pray that you guys find some kind of spark, or whatever it is that you look for in a YouTuber. I hope that you guys find that within my videos, so that you subscribe to my channel, and not just because I'm asking, but because I align with the type of content that you enjoy watching. So without further ado, I present to some and introduce to others none other than the only Jasmine with a G. Dun, da, da. No, but for real. So in today's topic, I am going to be talking about my daughter's diagnosis. Being that I am on the way to the Social Security office, so the reason my daughter gets Social Security is because she is considered disabled. She's not disabled for real. She's actually probably smarter than the average 12-year-old, but she was given an unfair diagnosis at the age of 2, which in return allows for her to qualify for Social Security. A Social Security disability. I thought that was one word. I did not know that it's two different things, but Social Security is actually, I don't know, because to be honest, I don't even know the full meaning of it like I really thought I did. So we just gonna leave that where it's at. We're gonna leave well enough alone now, because I ain't about to get up here lying and stuff. I don't want to tell y'all nothing wrong, then y'all go ask y'all grandma and she tell you like, that little girl ain't know what she talking about. Yeah, boo, let's just leave well enough alone. I don't know exactly the terms or who qualifies for it and why. I just know my daughter qualified for it when she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the young age of just 2 years old. I do want to talk about that day, what led up to me finding out, how that day went, and yeah, just how it changed my life and why I'm at where I'm at today. So back in 2016, and it's so ironic, and I've already mentioned this before in one of my previous videos, the day that my daughter was diagnosed, oh, that's nasty. So she was diagnosed on a leap day, meaning that day literally only comes once every 4 years. She was diagnosed on, dang, he's speeding like ain't nobody getting over here. She was diagnosed on February the 29th of 2016. What all started out as just like regular flu symptoms and lethargy, her not wanting to play like her usual self. When my daughter was younger, she loved Dora the Explorer. That's who Dora raised my baby. I don't know what cartoon. I know they watch like Gracie's Corner, because I did have a godson. Notice I said I did have. So I had a godson earlier. I had a godson from 2023 of December up until August of 2025. Yes, the child is still living and well. He's just no longer in my life. That's another story for another day. I will get to that story eventually. Just want to dive into some story times just to kind of get myself, boost my channel up some and get some eyes, some more eyes on my channel so that y'all can find me, because I'm pretty sure there's tons and tons and tons of y'all who will enjoy the content that I put out. However, the algorithm just ain't on my side right now, so a lot of people don't even know I exist on YouTube. So yeah, and with my so I mentioned having a godson because I know he used to watch Gracie's Corner, Coco Melon. I know, like those type of cartoons. I think Peppa Pig is still around. I remember seeing that one day when I had him and I was looking for something for him to watch. And then it's like Paw Patrol and stuff. The cartoons these days ain't nothing like what they were when my daughter was coming up. When I said my daughter was raised by Dora the Explorer, and y'all know, if you know, Dora was smart. Dora is a smart doll, whatever she is. She explored and she did many things, but she was very smart, and she was very, very, very helpful in raising my daughter, because my daughter was way before her time. Like, she was so freaking smart at the age of 1. She started walking at 10 months. Some kids just learn faster than others, and some kids they start walking before others, while they take a little longer to walk. So my daughter raised up on Dora. So during this time when she began to get sick, I noticed things such as, her not wanting to, she would watch Dora, but she was not interacting like she normally would. When I say I used to have to pull her back from the TV, because she would be in front of the TV like this, making sure that she don't miss nothing this doll say. I had to pull her from the TV each and every time Dora came on, especially when the theme song dropped. Oh God, it was a mess. So she was still watching it when I noticed the symptoms of her being sick started, but it was not normal Dora watching activity. So that was, a red flag, and I'm like, okay, well, I know she's still watching it, but she wants to lay down and do everything. She wants her, so I did allow her to drink soda as a baby, but it was watered down soda. So she called it black soda. At 1 year old, she was asking for black soda like no tomorrow, okay? So she would ask for black soda, and I'd put it in her cup, and she wanted to lay down and do it. Wanted to lay down and eat. She wanted to lay down and watch TV. And this was not usual, because when I say from the time DeAudrey wakes up in the morning and her feet hits the floor, it's zip, 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 zip. It's getting into everything. And she was such a bright, spirited child. She was so busy, always happy. She always wanted to be the life of the party. Like, I have videos of her at several parties when she was younger. She loved to dance. She loves to dance. She loved to flip. Like, that didn't come till a little later, but yeah, the dancing turned into flipping. And if you know, any of them, if you got any nieces, nephews, cousins, sisters, whatever, younger, that like to do them flips and stuff all around the house, like they in the gymnasium, yeah, that was my child later, like around 6, 7. But anywho, I noticed, the lethargy, not wanting to do much, but still aware of what she's supposed to be doing. She just couldn't do it for some strange reason that I did not, become aware of until potty trained at 1. She was potty trained. Even overnight, my daughter moved fast. When I tell you, I don't know if Dora did it or if she was just it was just instilled in her naturally. But she was really smart and she was ahead of her time. So when I went to change her pull-up one day because, and it was weird. It was really weird because when I changed her pull-up was wet. And I'm like, this is strange because she normally would not pee in her pull-up. She would tell me that she has to potty and I would allow her to use the bathroom. And yeah, it was normal. So when I felt her pull-up one day and I noticed she was wet, I'm like, this is weird. This was another red flag. So I'm like, okay. When I went to change my baby diaper and I saw yeast, I about freaked out. I about lost my mind. So I immediately took her to the emergency room because I'm like, she's 2 years old. Why does she have a yeast infection? I knew that was not normal. That's not normal. If you have a younger child, they experience a yeast infection, that is a total red flag. And I'm telling you from experience, it's a total red flag. So when I saw that she had a yeast infection, I was blown away. I was worried. I was scared. I was every emotion that any mother would possibly be in a situation like that, especially with a 2-year-old. So we immediately got her ready because her dad and I was still together. We got ready and we immediately went to the emergency room. During our visit at the emergency room, I noticed that they weren't, which should have been a red flag at the time, but I'm a new mom. I'm in my new mom era. My daughter she had just turned 2 in October. This is February, so I'm kind of a new mom. I'm not knowing the ins and outs. Of course, I'm getting advice from my boyfriend's mom, and then my mom at the time had just passed. So I did not have my mom to call because that would have been the very first person I would have called. So my mom was already deceased. I'm going through a mental breakdown silently. I'm faced with all these other things in my life at the time, and then this happens. So I'm like, what is God trying to tell me? I really just was lost. I was hurt, I was confused, I didn't know what way to turn. So although I did have, some support and, some people to ask certain questions, I just did not have my mom, and that played a huge, huge role in this whole thing unfolding. Never in a million years would I have thought that this was going to lead to her being diagnosed with a lifelong disease. Never in a million years did I think her having a yeast infection was going to change our lives. Never. I had never even studied what diabetes was. I've heard of it, yeah, because it's common in the Black community, but never would I have thought that a child could get this at such a young age. So we got to the emergency room, and when I say they were not taking this as serious as I was making it out to be, and it was pissing me off, I thought I was losing my mind. And I thought maybe when I'm faced with things, it took time to get here, but I eventually got there. When I'm faced with things that are out of my control, I had to learn that I can't blow up about it. Like there's no need for me to, just flip out and act a fool and, just be ignorant. There's no need to be ignorant because you have to approach certain situations with a certain type of attitude. You can't react negatively. You can't react negative to everything that you're faced with, basically. And that's just something that I've learned recently over the years. Back then, when this went on, the way I reacted was never negative or ignorant. It was more so upset, emotional. I cried because I felt like they were not taking this as serious as I was, which they weren't. And I should have known from that instinct of me being, super upset and wanting to cry and all that. I should have known that that was a sign that I needed to get a second opinion. At the time, I did not know. So we got in the back. I saw that the doctor, because at the emergency rooms, they have one doctor running the whole emergency room. Well, the emergency room that I went to and the emergency rooms in my area, they have one doctor, but they have like different nurses and the or medical assistants that check you in, do your vitals and all that. They have one doctor though. So the doctor on staff that night was a male. And when I saw that and I knew what we were in there for, I immediately requested a female doctor. Unfortunately, that was not an option. So that was the second thing that had me all worked up, and I was just so annoyed. They did give me the option to, I guess, not have him check her to see what I seen, and him just basically let the MA, either I could have let the medical assistant or his assistant, the doctor's assistant, I could have let her look at it and, describe to him, or basically her diagnose whatever the cause was on that, or they gave me an option to just have her in the room with him, so nothing funny went on. So I actually ended up going with that. And when he looked at her or whatever and checked it out, he was in fact a yeast infection. What he did though was prescribe me a cream. So he told me to apply this cream on her. It was a certain amount of days. I believe it was 7 days. So apply this cream on her for 7 days. Keep an eye on it. Make sure that it is clearing up. And once it clears up, follow up with her PCP and make sure that, there's nothing else underlying. They didn't check nothing. He basically looked at her. And I don't know if it was because of the way I approached them with wanting a female doctor, me not thinking that they're taking it as serious as they is, so I was emotional and upset. They ended up sending us home. Basically, prescribed me the cream, told me to apply it to her for 7 days and go from there, follow up with her pediatrician. So that's exactly what I did until it was, so he said 7 days is how long I was supposed to apply the cream to her vaginal area. And on day number 6, all hell broke loose because I went to change her pull-up to apply the medicine, and when I pulled her pull-up off, when I say all the other days leading up to this 6th day of us using this cream, it was fine. It was clearing up. It's like everything was working. I'm like, oh, this took this right away. Like, she's looking normal again. So on day number 6, when I looked inside of my daughter's pull-up, I just knew there was something else going on that was way worse than what they had told me at that emergency room. This time it was daytime. It was probably 12 p.m. It was early in the afternoon. Called her pediatrician, told them what was going on. They told me to bring her in. She had an appointment at 1 o'clock. It was 12. Got her dressed. Her dad was still at work, I believe. Can't remember. I want to say her dad was still at work. Her dad was still at work, but he ended up having to get off. So, yeah, me and her went there by ourselves. So we got to the pediatrician at our appointment time, 1 o'clock, and You know, we got there and I let them know what happened. I let them know about the emergency trip. Because, see, we had already had a follow-up appointment scheduled because I was on top of things like this. Like, follow-up appointment, okay, I got to get this scheduled ASAP. I let them know, you know, what was going on. And they scheduled a follow-up appointment, but they scheduled it 7 days out because that's what the doctor had, you know, the ER doctor had said. So, scheduled it 7 days out. That was actually going to be coming up. So we got into the back and she's still not, like, even though she does not have this yeast infection anymore, she is still not showing no signs of her normal self. She is still just laying around. She's drinking like no tomorrow. And the whole time, like, I never knew what it was like to smell a sweet smell on anybody's breath. Like, I didn't know that it was possible for a sweet smell to be a sign of sugar trying to come out your body, basically. So, and that's exactly what yeast is. Yeast is basically sugar. I believe it's sugar trying to come out of your body. Is that Amazon? No, that's why did we even come here? That don't look like 810. He better not have put my package in front of the wrong door. Let me check. Oh, hell. I'm confused. So, if he sent 250... Oh, I see. Okay, cool. So good. Okay, they ran tests. So the first test that they did was they checked her. They asked me if I think that she would pee in a cup. I told them I don't know. I can try. It'll be challenging because she's just a baby. I don't know how I would make her do it. It was crazy, y'all, because this little girl, she was so freaking smart, but being that she did not feel good, she was not feeling herself, she did not want to do it. So that man scared me. I have my sun visor on my windshield. That's probably why it's so dark in here. Well, it's not dark because of obviously the other windows are open, but it's blocking that sun from coming through my front window because my front window is where all the heat comes from, because all of my windows are tinted except this one. I had to get my glass replaced from a small little freaking crack that started stretching, and yeah, now I have no freaking tint, and my car does not feel like it cools. But I don't even think the tint would help in this heat these days. I don't even think the tint would help. I can't see who coming in the yard or nothing. So Amazon just walked past my car and it scared the freak out of me. But anywho, that's my new cage for my camera too. By the way, what the fuck? Oh, the rubber band popped and flew off. Because I got a rubber band around my cage because it's broke. But my new one just got delivered. Anywho, let's finish telling the story. Okay, so I attempted to have Nate pee inside of a cup. I was able to get her to pee in the cup, and she put enough in there for them to test her urine, right? Y'all, they tested her urine. They didn't say nothing to me right away. After they tested her urine, they came in the room and they pricked her finger. That's literally all the emergency room had. All they had to do was prick her finger. If the emergency room had pricked her finger, they would have known right off top, because your blood sugar should be between 80 and 120. A normal blood sugar should be between 80 and 120. If you are not diabetic, your blood sugar is going to fall within that range regardless of what you ate, because it's going to... So her pancreas doesn't work. Basically, if you have type 1, I'm speaking for all type 1 diabetes. Type 2 is a whole different ball game. Type 2 is curable. Type 1, you cannot get rid of. Your pancreas does not produce insulin. that's why we have to manually give it to a type 1 diabetic. My daughter is a type 1 diabetic. They actually refer to it as juvenile diabetes. After the urine test, they had already known. They know that I was, on edge, and I was trying to figure out what was wrong. They came in the room, and since they had already known from the urine sample that I gave them, when they came in the room, it was the doctor's assistant and then her primary doctor. She came in with her, and I knew something was wrong then, because normally the MA would come in and do her thing and then she'll go back out, but they came in together. She was pricking my daughter's finger and the doctor was in the computer typing, and she was getting ready to spill this news. So they were moving fast too. They were moving fast. When I say they was moving fast, they were moving fast because my daughter was in DKA. She was in active DKA. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to put it on the screen so you know exactly what it is. It is deadly. Diabetic ketoacidosis. It is a deadly, basically it's like poison in your bloodstream. So since she had been so long without any insulin breaking down the sugars that she was intaking, her pancreas was not producing insulin. And if it was producing very little. It was not producing enough to insulin breaks down the sugar. So the little bit of insulin that her pancreas was still producing, because it had to have been producing some insulin in order for her, because her number when they pricked her finger was 365. Remember, 80 and 120 is normal. Her number was 365. I don't think I found out her A1C until we got to the hospital downtown, because they immediately sent us downtown. They told us we could not stop home to get clothes or nothing. We had to go straight to MUSC downtown Charleston. What ended up happening, she pricked her finger, her number was 365. She laid it on me, and when she told me, like, it didn't even hit me then, because like I said, I did not know what type 1 diabetes was. I didn't know much about diabetes at all. Like, I've never studied it. I do know that my mom, in her last days or her last month living, she did develop diabetes, but again, she developed type 2 diabetes, and she only developed type 2 diabetes because of her weight gain. So basically she gained weight, and it caused her to develop type 2 diabetes. With type 2 diabetes, exercising and, just changing your diet and changing things about your normal daily life that you do, you can outgrow or get rid of type 2 diabetes. Type 1, your pancreas does not produce insulin. And some people who are, if you ever hear people say they're borderline, that has something to do with their A1C. So basically, your A1C determines what type of diabetes you are, basically. And my daughter's A1C, when we got admitted into MUSC, was 13.1, I believe. Yes, her A1C was off the charts. She was in active DKA, meaning they had to start pumping her with insulin immediately. Going into DKA is, like I said, is deadly. It could have killed her had I not gotten to the emergency room in time enough. When I look back at pictures of my baby during that time, she looked like a whole different person, and it was so crazy because since I was with her, actively with her, I could not see this. But someone coming to visit her noticed how sick in the face she looked. Like, she was losing weight. She wanted to eat, but every time she eat, being that the insulin was not breaking down the carbs and the sugars and getting her regulating her body, it was making her sick to intake anything, and that's what it's a horrible thing. It's so horrible, and I hate that my child, you know, had to be the one, had to be one of, because there's many, and that's why I allow her to attend this camp for 7 days every year. That's no contact, because she needs that mentally. She needs that, and although she is such a free-spirited girl, like, meeting her, the only way you would know she's type 1 diabetic is if you see her device on her arm, if her phone beeps, or you'll have to see it to know that she's diabetic, because you wouldn't know, because she's a regular girl. Like, she does not let her disease determine her. So smart, y'all. When I say she's been checking her sugar, like pricking her own finger, telling me the number, counting carbs. She's been doing all of this since we got released from the hospital. I think they kept us for like a week because they wanted to make sure that they got her out of DKA. They had to make sure that I learned everything. It was so much information for me to take in such a little time. Like, it was so much. I thought I was going to lose my mind. So yeah, I immediately had to quit work. I could not work because my child needed around the clock care. In return, I lost my vehicle. I had to voluntarily repo my vehicle because I couldn't work. I was not about to, even ask them to work with me, especially not knowing how long Social Security was going to take before they started supplementing me for not being able to work and having to take care of my daughter. I didn't know none of that, so I just called my car company and I had them come get my car. So yes, in return, like I said, I lost my car. I went through a slight depression, but I'm someone, we all go through things and we all deal with depression different ways. My depression was no sleep. Like, I could not sleep. I was constantly watching her. I was constantly pricking her finger. Normally, you're only supposed to prick their finger every 2 hours because the number kind of stays around the same unless it's actively moving. I was just so afraid of lows because if you don't know, if a type 1 diabetic were to drop low enough, they will go into something like a seizure. I'm going to put the word right here on the screen because I don't know why my mind just went completely blank, because it has only happened to her one time. So fast forward, so everything became a routine. This was our new normal life, and this is what I had to take on as a fairly new mother of a 2-year-old. Like, this was so hard because, as you know, children that young are so picky. She was already picky. Like, she was so picky. So when she got released from the hospital, the only thing that Nay would eat, and I know she would eat, and I had no problem, because they wanted, so since she was so young, of course I had to wait until she eats and then give her the insulin. That way I'm not over correcting her, because you can give too much insulin and yeah, it'll send them too low, and the worst can happen. So to prevent that in younger children, you want to allow them to eat so that you see exactly how much they eat. You add up the carbs, you give them the insulin based off of their carb ratio. It's a lot. I've never been no big math person, but I had to learn. I was forced to learn the ins and outs of diabetes. And while this is a horrible disease, it changed our lives drastically, because when I say it stopped so much, like, it was so many moments where I'll have like breakdowns because I just feel like she was cheated. But and then I think about it and I'm like, well, someone always has it worse. While we're stuck with this disease where we have to count carbs, watch her diet, watch what she eats, make sure she's getting her insulin, deal with the pharmacy every single month, order supplies every single month, because so much has changed from 10 years ago. So much has changed, because she just reached 10 years. Well, we didn't have an anniversary this year, but technically it was either March 1st or February 28th. Hold on. yeah, so we don't technically celebrate. I just acknowledge the fact that, you know, it's another year. But yeah, it made 10 years this past February, and since it was on a leap day, that's why I said we acknowledge either on the day before the 29th of fall or the day after the 29th of fall. So yeah, 10 years ago, so much has changed. When she was diagnosed, we did not have, she now has a monitor that tracks her blood sugars 24/7. I loved it. This is what gave me hope that I can enjoy sleep again. That Dexcom, so we started with the G6. That didn't come about until, what year was that, 18? So yeah, she was 4. So we had applied, I'm gonna just tell y'all this part real quick, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hurry up because I do not want this video to be that long. I'm over the long videos. Right now I'm editing a video that's probably like 3 days worth of footage, and you can probably only imagine how much editing it is. But the good thing is this video will come out first, so I'll have a little, you know, wiggle room, and I'll have some time to get those other ones edited. But anywho, so yeah, in 2018, so that became my normal. Everything became, you know, easier to me. I was able to learn things, and yeah, I got everything under control. I was just on a journey of working toward getting her A1C in a good range. So her A1C within, I think, like the first 2 months, at our first appointment, her A1C had went from that 13.1 all the way down to, I believe, a 8. So it was pretty, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, right? And yeah, so that was good. 2018, right? So, you know, her doctor reached out, and, you know, he was all excited telling us about this new CGM that's coming out, and she qualifies for it, and it'll help, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. One thing that I hated about our journey to, you know, getting better numbers, better readings, just overall feeling better, getting her back to her normal feelings, her normal self, was I had to show them that I could manually get her A1C in range before they would allow her to have a pump. Do y'all know how helpful, gosh, the pump is such a peace of mind. So let me tell y'all, without the pump and the CMG. So without the pump, without the CMG, right? Every 2 hours I'm pricking her finger. If she wants to eat, I need to count. Okay, so I got to find out what she's going to eat. I have to count the carbs, add up the carbs. Let's say back then her carb ratio was 1 to about 20. That's what we started out, because she was so little. 1 to 20. For every 20 grams of carbs inside of an item, carbohydrates. You look at the total carbs, because some things will have a total carb and then it'll have something else that says carbs, but you want to look at the total carbs, total carbohydrates. So for example, this protein bar has 16 grams of carbs, and then you look at the serving size, because sometimes how this says the serving size is 1 bar, that means 16 grams of carbs is in this 1 bar. So while Nay's carb ratio for her insulin was 1 to 20, let's just say 16 to make it easier. So yeah, if it was 1 to 16, she would receive 1 unit of insulin for this protein bar. So that's how that worked. And then, like I said, also depending on what her number is, because a type 1 diabetic has a carb ratio, and then they also have a sliding scale. So the sliding scale is basically, if her number reaches 200, she's considered high. So not only do I have to give her the 1 unit of insulin for her to eat this protein bar, but I have to give her a correction, is what we call it, because of the sliding scale, being that she's over 200. So let's say I prick her finger and her number is 211. So from 200 to 250, it's a half a unit. It starts at half and it goes up to 2. So it increases by a half for every 50 numbers. So from 200 to 250, it's a half a unit. From 250 to 300, it's a whole unit. From 300 to 350, it's 1.5 unit. And then from 350 to 400, she'll need 2 whole units additional on top of the 1 unit. So for example, let's say I prick her finger and it's 310 and she wants to eat this. So I would then have to give her 1 unit for the bar, and then I would have to give her 1.5 for her high. So in total, that's 2.5 units. So I would then have to get her insulin pen, in which it started out with syringes and vials. That's what we started with. We eventually got to where it was a pen that had the increments and where you could twist the top. I wish I had some of her. One day I'll show y'all like all her. I'll probably put a picture of it or something. I wish I had like hands-on stuff that I could show y'all. But yeah, we eventually got to the dial pen with the little dial on it, and it had the numbers and increments or whatever. But it did not start like that. It started with the little syringe and the vial of insulin. So I would put it in there and turn it up, pull it, make sure there's no air bubbles or anything, and I would have to either put it so the back of her arms was the main spot. I like to use her belly, because in her belly it absorbed it quicker. So I like to use her belly, right? So I would do her belly, the back of her arms, or the top parts of her legs. Those were our main 3 spots. She was scared of anywhere else while she was that little, and I could not blame her. But she got used to it, and I think a part of that is because it started to make her feel good. So she knew that she was feeling back to her normal self. So it didn't hurt her. Even pricking her finger, even when I go to the doctor to this day, when they prick my finger, that shit hurts so bad. I hate getting my fingers stick. It's such an irritating feeling. But she is so used to it, it does not bother her. And she knows that she has to have that done. So yeah, there's that. That's how we checked her number, and that's how we dosed her with insulin to eat. She also received a insulin called long-acting. So basically, the long-acting insulin was insulin that basically covers her for 24 hours. So yeah, 24-hour insulin. Basically, she gets this every single night at the same time. That way the insulin stays in her system and plays in the background for 24 hours, on top of her getting the fast acting insulin as she eats and as she's higher than what she needs to be. So yeah, there's a little spill on that. I just wanted to kind of go in, just to kind of let y'all know. And then it came the Dexcom. So y'all, the doctor told us about the Dexcom or whatever. When I say we have put the order in for the Dexcom, right? Her Dexcom was scheduled for, I don't remember the exact date when this happened, but let's just say Wednesday was the day that her Dexcom was supposed to be delivered. The whole kit set up. When I say change every 10 days, stamp it on her arm, connected to her little on the phone. That's why she had a phone at 2 years old. So she put it on her phone, put the app on her phone, and then I'm able to see it through another app called Follow. So I follow her numbers, even when she's away from me. As long as her phone is by her and her Dexcom isn't expired or got a signal loss, I can see her number. So that was a plus. But let me tell y'all what happened the night before that Dexcom got delivered. So her and her dad slept in the bed. I slept on the couch. I don't even know why we slept like that. I just don't know, for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it was a reason. But anywho, I'm sleeping. All I know is I get woken up to his dad screaming, "She's shaking, she's shaking." At this point, I'm sleeping, so I'm woken up to this, right? when I wake up, for some reason, I sleep very hard. I'm a heavy sleeper. I sleep heavy, and I really don't like that. And I think what it was I had been so exhausted and tired from staying up for days and just nights not being able to sleep. When I went to sleep on the couch, I noticed that I was free from, anybody being in the bed with me. So I think I just crashed and I was out, right? So I wake up, I'm discombobulated. I don't know what the hell going on for real. I'm like, what? So when it didn't even click right away. Like, he's telling me he's shaking, so I'm looking at her and she's in her, he's holding her and she's just jerking. So I'm like, oh my gosh, she's having a seizure. I don't know what to do. I call 911. In the midst of me on the phone with 911, I'm letting them know, like, my daughter's having a seizure. She's type 1 diabetic. They're asking me if I did her emergency glucagon. I'm so discombobulated. I didn't even think to go to her emergency case to get the glucagon, y'all. I don't know why I did not think of that. I ran in the kitchen. I hit my toe. I was running so fast throughout the house. I hit my toe on the dresser. Bam! Didn't even feel it. I went in the kitchen, got a cup of juice. She couldn't even drink, y'all. She's shaking. Why the hell did I go get juice? I don't know, but I went to get her some juice. So, freaking out. I'm outside at this point because the EMS, when I say the EMS took so long to get there, by the time they got there, Nay was up, alert, and talking to them. Like, we didn't even let them take her. We drove her to the emergency room to be, checked out, because even though we did the emergency, I did end up doing her glucagon, which is at the time, this was the way that the emergency situation worked, because we now switched over to like a nasal spray. At that time, it was a needle that jabs into the side of her leg in an emergency like that, right? So it's basically a liquid and a powder, and you have to take the liquid in an emergency now. I was not thinking that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I could say. I took the liquid, put it in the powder, and because you gotta like do it in your hand like this to let it dissolve together, and then you draw it up and you take it and you jab it in the side of their leg. And y'all, when I tell y'all, as soon as I did that, she was shaking, but she started coming out of it. That shit brought her number up so high, so fast. Like, that's pure sugar in that little, it's called a glucagon. Glucose is sugar. That's pure sugar, and it works like a charm. So I still to this day have those. I have several of them. I even keep the expired ones. I don't use them, but I use it too. I hold on to them in case I have to train somebody or show somebody. She's going out of town with her best friend and her mom to Florida. They're going to, what's it called? I don't know, but they're staying at this nice ass like Disney themed Airbnb. It is so cute. I am so glad that she gets to experience that. But anywho, I have to train her, so I'm probably going to be, using that to show her how to use things like that. But she's not going to have to use that. We now have a nasal spray, and I only had to use that once. She didn't go into an active like seizing motion, but she felt like she was. And that's one thing about Nay. She has always known when she was about to, she feels her lows. She's always felt her lows because her legs, she said her legs get like tingly. So she knows when she's dropping low, and she has never been wrong. I promise you, she's always been on point with that. But that's just a little spill. If y'all have any questions or, suggestions or just anything pertaining to this topic, this is not what my channel is going to be based off of, but I will have stories or, you may just hear me talk about it in my vlogs here and there, or if I'm vlogging, you may hear my phone go off and you may hear me say, oh, her number high or her number low. This is why, because this is a part of my life. But anyways, like I said, if you guys have any questions for me, I don't mind answering them. Drop them below. I just wanted to kind of, introduce me and my daughter. I'll let y'all meet her one day. She's not really a camera girl. which I don't understand, because when I say I have videos of Nay being a YouTuber at the age of 6, she was walking around recording herself, like talking to the camera. So I genuinely think that when she grows up a little more, she's going to be into stuff like this. So I'm praying she does, because hello, we know what it is. But anyways, I'm not going to hold y'all any longer. I hope that all of you guys are having a beautiful day, a beautiful evening, because this video will not go up until, so today is Wednesday, July 1st. It's the first of the month. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. But yeah, it's a brand new month. I hope everybody is, yeah, just doing good. This video y'all will receive on Thursday, July 2nd. And yeah, I hope that y'all enjoy it. Don't forget to make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Like the video, please. Engage below. If you have or know someone, you know, close to you that, you know, lives with type 1 diabetes, you know, let me know in the comments. Let's chat it up, you know. But I love you guys so much. I will see y'all in the next one. Catch me every Thursday with a new drop. Mwah.